Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Track. If you like these episodes, make sure you go to YouTube and check out Supercross Live's YouTube channel. You can catch all the episodes we've done. A lot of riders, managers, trainers, team managers, mechanics. We kind of cover it all here on Beyond the Track, but today's going to be a fun one. Jacob Hayes joins me. Jacob, this one's going to be hard for me. I think you understand why this one might be hard for me.
Yep. It's going to be a good episode.
Solid yep. That's all right. That's what we're looking for in your answers here today. Let's just stick with yep. Breaking news, you and I are very close. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, I already know, but I'm going to try to be professional here and do my job so it comes across like I don't know the things I'm about to ask you. But, dude, let's start off with the breaking news, the big news, a little bit of a change in scenery. And for many out there, I think it's pretty inspirational to kind of see what's happening with you right now. Quickly, we'll go back in time. A year ago, you were a racer, racing for Wasserman Media Group. They were representing you as a racer. Now you work for Wasserman, biggest sports agency in the world. And of course, in this sport, dude, congratulations. It's a big change.
Thank you. Thank you. Really stoked to join those guys. I mean, to be able to get the opportunity to do something like that and, switch over from being a full-time racer to being a full-time Wasserman employee has been an incredible change. It's been a big change. Definitely a little bit different scenery. So far, it's been really good, though. I think I'm like 5 weeks full-time on the job right now. First weekend on the job on sign, documents was high point. So I had the pleasure of picking out Jet's winning sign, and that was good. So enjoyed that and been to a couple races. Looking to go to Loretta's and watch the new up-and-coming talent. So really just been side by side with Lucas Myrtle. He's my mentor. He's the head chief, and just really enjoying it so far.
So I want to talk about your amateur career, your Arenacross career, your pro career, and then this new chapter starting. I wanted to start with that news that you are now working for Wasserman Media. And, the other day I'm watching, I think it was Red Bud, and you got the Lawrence brothers, you got Max Volan, Styles Robertson, and Joe Shimoda, which are all represented by Lucas Myrtle and now you as a team effort. All 5 of them were in the top 7. The other 2 riders were Jeremy Martin and RJ Hampshire, which were with Myrtle and Wasserman. Let's just say there's a knack there for discovering talent in the 250 class. You're walking into a pretty good situation. Seems like they got a good grip on that upcoming talent.
Definitely. I mean, he's done his homework. That's for sure. He's groomed his riders. No, he doesn't do the performance on the bike, but he's watched the guys and, kind of pick and choose who he wants to help out. And it's more than, just the racing. It's a whole family over there. And that's what I've learned is, he doesn't just make the business calls. He makes the daily calls Monday through Sunday. Like he's on the phone nonstop with these guys, and it's a relationship. And that's something that I really like. I think this sport is a huge family sport, and it's nice to see that it goes beyond just being represented by Wasserman and Lucas Myrtle. It's a family. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I know how the behind the scenes kind of stuff goes. It is daily. Like you said, there's a lot of personal things that are going on at the same time that I know you guys are involved with, and part of that guidance program. You talk about the family side of the sport. It all starts when you're a kid. You're from North Carolina. We had Kyle Peters on a few weeks back, and he was talking about you guys growing up together and just that whole scene. Let's kind of start there. Just take me through those early years racing in North Carolina and everywhere around there. Just kind of coming up through the ranks with a lot of talent that kind of came out of that area. It seems like all at the same time.
Well, I mean, like most people, I started out as, a true beginner. Didn't know anything about dirt bikes. My dad rode a little bit. I got on the back of my sister, and I think around 3 or 4, got on a little JR50 and just rode around the backyard. We had a little bit of land, so just kind of putted around. And luckily in North Carolina, there was a lot of local races, a lot of local tracks. So just kind of went around, did a little bit of hair scramble racing. Was not my cup of tea, dodging trees and bouncing off trees. Just really didn't feel comfortable doing that. So went to the races and kind of picked it up right off the bat. Had a lot of local talent like Kyle Peters and several other riders that had to battle growing up. And to be honest, like, if it wasn't for those guys, like, I just remember me and Kyle and several other riders just like literally battling, like, we're going for a Supercross championship. Like, I mean, I raced a couple local events that we were only winning a plaque, like a wooden plaque. And yeah, there was a lot on the line for that plaque. So that was, that helped me growing up, helped me get to where I am in my racing, helped me become a successful amateur, successful pro. So it was really cool growing up with all the guys and just enjoying it. Like, it's a lot more laid back and low key in North Carolina. But at the same time, it's racing dirt bikes. So everyone's competitive, and at times the families get heated. So I enjoyed it. It was it was a lot of fun. There's some down times, but you always say, like, are you going to sit there and look at, say you have 10 races, are you going to look at the 2 bad ones or are you going to look at, the 8 good ones that you had? And no, the great outweighs the bad by a million miles. And racing is something that you can't really get anywhere else. You can't get that feeling. You can't get the family aspect. And it's fun.
Hey, when you're an amateur kid, I feel like every kid at some point kind of realizes what's going on, right? Like, okay, I'm racing. Okay, there's pros that do it. I kind of want to be one of those guys someday. It's like all of a sudden it all takes in. For me, Damon Bradshaw was like my first guy. Like, I just wanted to be Damon Bradshaw. I thought he was the coolest dude in the world. We had the same initials. I was obsessed. For you, who was like that first pro star where you were like, the realization kicked in, like, God, that guy is awesome, I want to be like him? Like, was there a moment that you remember when it all kind of like locked in like that, and there was maybe a rider that influenced you and kind of gave you that inspiration to hopefully be a kid and turn into a pro someday?
Yeah, so I most people may not know, they may know, I trained at the Osborne family ranch when I was a kid from 2004 to 2005, maybe a little bit longer. I can't really remember. I was just a little guy then. So I kind of stayed there for like a full year, and I didn't have anything. Mom and Dad bought the bikes and things like that. So we're going into Loretta's that year, and Zach and his family called KTM. I was like, hey, this kid may win Loretta's. If he does, could you give him some help? And same with Fox and a bunch of other sponsors. Luckily, I ended up winning Loretta's in 2005 in the 65 10-11 class. I went 1-1-1. So secured a ride and some other sponsorships. But I remember watching like Austin Stroop, Osborne, Ryan Dungey, Villapoto, Jason Lawrence, like those kind of guys. So like, yes, like Ricky Carmichael was like dominating the sport at that time, but these were guys that like I was watching as an amateur. So like when Villapoto and Dungey went pro, and even Zach, I really kept an eye on those guys because they developed into who they are today. And I mean, I really wanted to be like Ryan Dungey. Like that was the guy that I looked up to. Young kid, didn't really have much in amateurs, and then when he stepped onto the pro scene, like he worked extremely hard, clean cut guy, and I just liked everything about his program.
Kind of an interesting answer, because I think that a lot of riders look on the TV screen at the guy winning Supercross and they want to be like that guy. But for you, it came a lot more local. I know Stroop, he's a local guy. Osborne, you obviously were living with him. You think that it was just seeing those guys on the daily and in person was more inspiring than, again, what was on the TV screen, and watching them be like you, a local guy who all of a sudden now is winning, turning pro, getting factory rides? Do you think that's why you kind of choose that block of riders, even though they're not way older than you? They're just right in front of you a couple of years. Is that kind of why You steer that way?
I really think so, because like you said, I got to see the Monday through Friday struggle that most people don't get to see. Like, I wrote it they called it the Globe, and I watched Stroop do like a 40-minute moto, and I like couldn't even imagine at that time. I was 9, 10 years old to even imagine riding my dirt bike for 40 minutes. I was like, is this guy like, is he feeling okay? Yeah, like, is he feel okay? And and then to see him go pro and have some great success and be leading. And I always went to Atlanta Supercross, and it just so happened that Dungy won that one, and Stroop was winning that one year. And so, yeah, it was kind of like a thing where they were local, and I just got to see them grow up. And I just always thought to myself, like, man, if I put the work in, I can reach my goals.
So again, you had success early at Loretta's. I know at some point became a Team Green rider, which you were for the big block of your amateur career. What were those years like, where you're not a factory rider, but at the amateur level, you kind of are? You're part of that illustrious program, right? Was it starting to feel kind of real there in those early teenage years when you're supported by Team Green, you're having success, you're winning again, you won Loretta's again? What was that realization like at that point in those teenage years when it was starting to look like, this is going to turn into a pro career?
I was just walking around the pits like that.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm just kidding. Really thankful to get on Team Green. That was just such a massive program. Still is. Still look up to Ryan Holiday and how he runs his amateur program. I know a lot of the young kids that kind of are fighting for that ride right now. And I was that kid at one point in my career. So they laid the platform for me to reach my goals in the amateur racing. I mean, they did. They gave me bikes. They gave me parts. They gave me all the things I needed to go and win a lot. And I credit that to them. They gave me, you don't just win on Saturday. You know what I mean? Like it has to start. You lay the groundwork on Monday and you just start working, and then you get to reap all your benefits that you've done over the months, because amateur racing is not every weekend. It's, once or twice a month, whatever. So they definitely helped me. And like I said, had a very successful amateur career and moved on and ended up riding for Babbitt's Kawasaki. So I was still back on the Cowie program, and just all familiar faces. It was a great relationship for a long time, and just like I said, really cherish those memories.
Now, I know at the end of an amateur career, there's this like really weird period, right? Where some guys get the factory deal, some guys don't. Then what's the backup plan? What's the next move? I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you tell it. How difficult was that at the very end of the amateurs when the ride right into the pros, into the factories didn't happen, and you were kind of left having to fall back on a plan B? I mean, just kind of take me through that period and the decisions that were made after.
Let's just say the last couple of years. I wouldn't even say the last couple. 2010. My dad just kind of made some bad decisions on racing some local races, going after some contingency money, going after some bonus money, and I pointed out of the B class, and I would have been 15 or 16. So 2010 would have been my B year at Loretta's, and I got a phone call from the AMA, got bumped up to the A class, which was not ideal. Like, I think, I had won the Schoolboy 1 championship, the 12 to 16 BC class, which was massive for me. A lot of guys, Bogle, Savacci, Peters, like Nichols, like there was a bunch of guys in that class. So to win that straight up was incredible. Wanted to keep that momentum going. So that year we raced a couple like NMA nationals where I could still ride B. And then we made the decision, like, do we skip Loretta's this year, or do we just go race A, which it was Anderson, Ian Treadle, and guys like that, which my speed was there, but I just didn't feel like in my heart I was ready to kind of battle them. So ended up qualifying for Loretta's and just went there, just like gonna go for it. Like, I mean, not really expecting much, and showed a lot of speed. Like, I mean, a ton. Battled Anderson a couple motos, led a bunch of laps. I led the last moto of the week all the way to the white flag and came around this long rut, and there was a rock in it. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, dude, it'll be all right. Hit it with the front tire, and it washed over the top of the berm, cartwheeled on the last lap, got up and got third, led the whole moto. So devastating, but I was just a young pup. And then the next year, it was not good. I didn't feel confident. There was just a lot of kinks in the armor. And there were some other opportunities for me to potentially go on, other rides. And my dad felt it was necessary just to kind of stay course. When Loretta's was over, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I had a stellar performance, but I went, second in one of the classes and crashed in the other, whatever. And went up to Holiday and was just like, hey man, what's going on? Is there a potential PC fill-in? Because you just kind of always are looking, engaging at what's going on, and there wasn't. So at that point, it was just like ball dropped. There was nothing. There was not even a plan B. I had no idea what I was going to do. Not one single clue. We drove to Unadilla to watch and meet with some people just to try to say, hey, like, have nothing. At that point, it's too late. Now being on the other side of things, working with Wasserman and Myrtle, this stuff is planned way out. Like there's a couple last minute deals, but it's planned. You know what I mean? So I was way behind the 8 ball, and I disappeared for 2 years. 2012 and 13, nothing. Like, I mean, race local races, try to do a couple pro nationals, but at this level, you can't do it unless you're doing it all in. And I knew that. I had raced at the highest level in amateurs, and yes, the professionals is a lot higher than the amateurs. So I knew, like, this is not going to work. I got hurt a couple times, and in 2013, I talked to one of my buddies, and I was like, yeah, if this is all that, I can make out of my racing, then I'm just going to have to go back to school, because it's not working. I was planning to make a living and a career out of this, and this is not how it's ended up. So he's like, well, there's this Arenacross series that's really close. There's like 5 close ones. If you want to try to go do that, I'll buy you a bike. I mean, I had no money, like none. I was 18, you know what I mean? 18, 19 at the time. So he is like, I'll buy you a bike. And he bought me a motorcycle. And I think I threw numbers on it and went to the first Arenacross in 2014.
Hold on. You're skipping. I need to interject now, because everything that we just talked about up to that point, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know anything. And then right before that Arenacross series you're talking about is when I learned who you were through what I found to be a quite confident interview that you did on Racer X. And remember, I'm an Arenacross guy at this time. Okay. I'd been doing the series. I get online. All of a sudden there's this Racer X interview with this amateur kid who says he's going for the title. He's ready to battle Bowers. And I'm thinking, what? Who is this young kid from North Carolina who ends up showing up the first round with a stock pipe and crooked numbers on his bike? Who is this guy on Racer X saying he's going to win the title? Like, I was kind of offended. And okay, now take it from there, because you show up at the first Arenacross in 2014 and then the new chapter of your life. But I just want to make sure everyone knew that at that point, I was pretty offended by this young kid who thought he was going to be good in Arenacross. Take it from there, Jacob.
To be fair, on my defense, I had raced. There was a lot of local Arenacross type bar banging action going on in, like Virginia, Tennessee. There was a bunch. So I had, like I said, I hadn't raced anything like on scene, but I was racing local stuff. So I had raced Mike McDade, like those kind of guys. And I remember I raced them at the end of 2012. And then they went on to race the Arenacross series in 2013. Like, I was like, dude, McDade's like winning like the national Arenacross. Like, I just absolutely smoked him. Like, what's going on? So when I went in there, I knew kind of my speed, kind of. I hadn't raced a real Arenacross track, but I kind of knew. And I knew Bowers and guys like that. But I went there that first round, and I had no idea what to expect. I think I showed up with a buddy. I didn't even show up with a mechanic, anything. I drove there with Ryan Shanyo in a van. It was absolutely freezing. I was scared that my bike was going to get A, stolen, or B, like legit freeze, because it was like, I don't know, 0.
Booster.
So, yeah.
Booster mass.
Got there, and I was the first practice of the day, and I mean, I honestly don't even know how I made it around the track. Like, feet were off. Like, it was loose. Like, let's not say it wasn't. It was loose. But I just remember, like, I knew in my head, like, if I could beat Bowers, I could be considered legit. So he was the only guy that I knew was racing. Like, Daniel, I'm sorry, but I didn't know you were racing. I didn't know other guys were racing. Like, it was just Bowers.
Wow.
So, yeah, I had stock pipes, stock everything, and then I had just number plates. And the first night I ended up getting on the podium. I got third. And I won like the head-to-head racing and things like that. And I battled Zach Ames in the heat race. And I remember coming off, and I asked the guy that I drove with, who was that? Like, I didn't even know who Zach Ames was. Like, I had no idea. And which is a good thing. Like, I think now as an older guy, like, you think too much. Like, it's almost like that fine balance of winging it, but also being controlled with your thoughts. So it honestly was just crazy from then on. Everyone was like, who is this kid? My RacerX interview got brought back up. I don't think Bowers was too happy about it, but he had to deal with me all year. We did a lot of bumping. We did a lot of banging. And Daniel, what place did I get my first year?
You got second. It was very impressive. I think I told you at one point in the season that I thought low of you when I saw the RacerX interview with that confidence/arrogance, but you did back it up from the first main event on, and I became a fan of a young amateur kid that I had to race with. But that first year, again, you started out on your own. You ended up getting like a fill-in ride at Tough Honda. And then, of course, you go to the final round of the championship. You get second that year, had a lot of wins, great rides. Was that like a rebirth for you? Like, hey, my career was over like 6 months ago. And now, like, you're legitimately making good money. You're on the team, a good team. You're on the radar. You almost won the title. At that point, are you like kind of, I guess, again, like a rebirth in your career thinking, okay, we're good again to give it another shot?
Well, like I said, I went to the first round with a buddy. I don't really recall even having much more than $500 in my bank account. So by the end of the season, the bank account had grown, and I was like, dude, like, let's go. Like, I was stoked. And I thought I had made the Babbitts guys so mad over the season because me and Bowers had gotten into it quite a bit. Like, at one point, he ran me over. Like, I was leading, and he ran over the top of me through the whoops. And they're like yelling at me, and I'm just like, dude, like, I'm just trying to hang on to this thing to win the race. You know, like, I'm not trying to take people out. And I did take a lot of people out. So, yeah, I didn't think they were going to call me. And I ended up getting a phone call from Denny Bartz, and he was like, would love to have you on the team. And yeah, just got back on with those guys. But yeah, it was kind of like, I remember that season like it was yesterday. It was one of the best ones of my life. It was low pressure. It was literally every single race was like it was my last, because I had gone through my highs of my amateurs, and then I had really hit rock bottom. Like, I mean, I was at the bottom, and it was just whatever I wanted to do to grow it back. And So every time I lined up, it was just like, dude, you gotta fight. And that's what I did. And for a lot of young and up and coming kids, you don't get the perfect scenario. You don't get the perfect ride. And that doesn't mean that it's over. You know what I mean? Like for me, it looked like it was, but I kept fighting and clawed my way back and became a very successful professional. Had a lot of great years. My second year in Arenacross with Babbitts, which have been my first full season with them. Led the title a lot, lost and back and forth with the red plate, went down to the final round, final main event. Wow, I think that will always go down as one of the gnarliest finals in Arenacross history. It was, wow. I even remember that like it was yesterday. I think back on it, like I don't even know what headspace I was in. Like I was so wrapped up in what was going on and how the whole season unplayed, and there was a lot of animosity and aggression built up between me and Regal and some other guys. And it just it ended badly for me. For a split second, I thought it ended great for me, but ended up messing my motorcycle up with the impact. So that was not great for me. There's like,
for those of you watching who are wondering what we're talking about, just type in Jacob Hayes, Kyle Regal on YouTube and you can watch the whole thing. It's one of the best videos on the internet.
I don't condone the after performance that I did. So we'll just scratch that out. Don't do that. But yeah, and then I just kind of moved throughout my career and trademarked myself as a hard worker, which, like I said, I enjoyed watching the Dungy and the Osborne and guys like that grow up. So I wanted to be known as that hard worker and wear my heart on my sleeve and race every single race like it was my last. I mean, I don't think if you ask someone like, hey, how did Jacob race? They'd been like, dude, he gave it everything he had. And I did. That's how I did everything. That's how I still live my life to this day. If I'm doing anything, whether it's a bicycle ride or anything, I'm going wide open. And Daniel, you know me very well. So you can, and, I just moved throughout my career. Spent a lot of great years with Babbitts. Unfortunately, in 2018, when I won the championship, they told me that the Arenacross was coming to an end, and like my heart was broken. Loved that series, loved the people, loved everyone that put that whole series on. And then just was kind of left, not with nothing, because I had a foundation, but with no ride. And then got a ride with Cycle Trader, Rock River Yamaha. Christina Denny called me up, and I was beyond happy about that and got a great opportunity with them and did my first year in Supercross at 25. Yeah, at 25. My first ever Supercross was Anaheim 1 and whole shot of the heat race, led the heat race for a lap. So it turned out really good. I mean, I still think I left some things on the table, but that's a competitor in me.
Right. Again, so 2014, you go to Arenacross, a lot of seconds and thirds, some injuries, some ill-timed things that held you off from winning the championship, but you did get it in 2018. It was an awesome night for you and for everybody. So again, congratulations on that. But then again, you're done with Arenacross. The series is going away. So you're going to Supercross as a 25-year-old rookie. What are your thoughts? Because you are new to Supercross. You hadn't done it, but you had the maturity, you had the championship pedigree. So you were kind of a weird case study, if that makes sense. You don't know what to make of that when you're that mature, that strong, that experienced, yet you'd never done one before. So just kind of quickly take me through that first season, just on what you had to learn right out of the gate, again, with those kind of weird variables. Like, it's not a normal story.
I thought the learning curve was not going to be as steep as it was. I got out there and, like you said, I had the maturity. I had the base of riding the tight quarters and things like that, and the whoops and the normal stuff that a rookie normally has to learn. I had already moved past that. It was strictly from day one, it was trying to learn how to go even faster. And that was the hardest curve for me to learn, because in Arenacross, it was just your whoops, rhythm, finish. So there was nothing rushed. Yes, you had to push in your sections, but you did your rhythm and you kind of set up. Like, the speeds were not there. So in Supercross, like, I just learned right off the bat, like, how high you had to have your intensity and how quick you had to hit things. So that kind of was my learning curve. It was different from other rookies. Like I said, I didn't need to learn the whoops or anything like that. I already had that part kind of figured out. So getting up to speed was relatively easy, but then perfecting that and making that consistent for 15 minutes and pushing all the way to the finish. I had my best race in Oakland. I got a 5th, rode through a lot of great guys. It had 2 whoop sections that night, so I was really stoked on that. Really enjoyed the whoops from being an Arenacross guy. So I was sitting, I think 7th or 8th in points, and had a lot of great rides. Led some heat races. Never got any heat race wins. That's what I was really wanting really bad. Ended up kind of messing my hand up towards the later part of the season. So ended up getting 11th overall after missing, I think, 3 rounds. So rookie season wasn't bad. Like I said, led some stuff. Got some top 5s, which was cool. And then just went to outdoors, and that was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I had done so many years in Arenacross. Like in 14, I raced Arenacross, and then when it got done, I rode during the week, but I never raced any outdoors. And the same with 15. Rode Supercross and Arenacross not all year, but for 6-7 months, and didn't really do much outdoor racing. So like my outdoor skills kind of just got put on the back burner because I was trying to perfect my craft and win this indoor season. And so in 2019, that would have been my first full outdoor season. It was a steep learning curve with just the tracks being different. It's brutal. It's a lot more rugged, rough. Got to hang it out. So still had some good rides, really good rides. Got a couple top 10 finishes at some of the gnarliest tracks out there, Southwick and WW. Oh my gosh, was that race like beyond hot. So yeah, had some good years, man. Really did.
So the last 2 years of your racing career at Supercross, again, rode for Cycle Trader in 19, got a top 5 there, came back the next year riding for Gas Monkey, the AJE team, got another top 5 there. And again, me being close to you, I know the story. Things were building in the right direction. Of course, COVID hits, the series gets postponed. And I know you're getting ready for Salt Lake City, getting ready to kind of put a stamp on the end of your season. And that's the time when Lucas Myrtle at Wasserman signed you as a rider. He was going to represent you. There's a lot of talk, obviously, about your success over the last 2 years. So I feel like your brand was building to the point where you're ready to take that next big leap. And then the big crash, preparing for Salt Lake City. I know you broke your femur, and it was a longer recovery than anyone would normally go through because of some complications with the first surgery. So this is kind of the dark place in the interview, Jacob. Just kind of take me through that period where you're on the sidelines, your career's about to pop, and instead you're on the sidelines dealing with some crappy surgeries. I guess, how did you get through that period, knowing that you were so close, but then something that just kind of took it all away from you? And I know the details of the story. I don't think it's very fair, but you're the one that had to deal with it. What was that like? What was that year like for you?
So in 2019, I went to Australia and raced the Australian Supercross series for Circle Yamaha. Ended up dislocating my left shoulder over there mid-season. I was leading the points over there, so dislocated my shoulder. So I had to leave and come back home, and it was a short turnaround because I had ridden Yamaha all year, basically at the end of 2018, and then all the way through 19 and all the way at the end of 19. So I got back in November from Australia, and my shoulder was still hurt. And I moved to your house, moved in with you. And I still had not ridden the AG Gas Monkey bike, which was a Husqvarna. And I rode I don't know, 6 times before Anaheim won. 3 of those being on a gnarly sand track just to try to get some strength back in my shoulder because I was doing rehab and things like that, but it's not the same as being on the actual motorcycle and going through whoops. So I did 3 days of Supercross riding before, just worked my way through the season. First round got 11th. Second round in St. Louis made a big jump and got a 6th, which I think speaks volumes. I mean, coming into the season hurt, switching brands, switching teams, being, like I said, hurt and getting 11th at round 1, like straight up, I got 11th. And then second round got a good start and battled hard and got 6th. Like how much work I had to put in between, Anaheim 1 and St. Louis was a lot. And I made a big gain. And then went to Phoenix and, it was a triple crown and I went 6.55 for 5th. And I think if I'd have passed, I can't remember who it was in front of me, but if I was
one brand Hartraff and you would have got 3rd overall. It was one spot.
Yeah, I was
off the podium.
I was 1 point off the podium, which was still massive. Like I had not been that close to the podium. And that was where, like, that's that goal you put up on the wall. Like, I want to get there. That was that goal. So, was 6 in points, finished the first 6 races on the West Coast, was 6 in points, was feeling really good. COVID hit, put a damper on everyone's mood. And just, it was a long break. And then they had just released that we were going to finish the series out in Salt Lake. So, it was like 2nd or 3rd day on Supercross again, cause I had just kind of taken a step back from riding. And, yeah, it hit hard, got thrown off the bike, came down, landed feet first. And I knew right off the bat, like I was laying there and the guy came up to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, you need to call the ambulance. Like my femur's out of my skin. Like I have a broken femur." And I don't even know, excuse me. I don't even know how I knew that, but it was just like a feeling that I had, like it's jacked up. So from May 14th, 2020 until basically February 15th, 2021 was some of the worst months of my life. I mean, I was on heavy pain medicine, stayed in the hospital for 5 days, was losing so much blood, had a blood clot. They had to put a IVC filter that ran up to my heart. So the blood clot wouldn't travel to any of my lungs or my heart or anything like that. Had a really bad blood clot on my femur. And yeah, like I said, stayed in the hospital for 5 days. And with COVID happening, no one was allowed to come in and see me. Like I was just laying there, trying to deal with the pain, as best as I could. Had the surgery done. They put a plate and I don't know, like 15 screws in, because I broke it right near where my kneecap was. So I broke it really low, which was not good. That's where all your pressure goes, right there at the bottom of your femur, so it wasn't good. They told me I couldn't walk for no pressure, like no weight bearing, for 4 months. And then it was going to be fine, which I had broken my femur when I was really little, like 10 years old. And I remember it like being like a full recovery and I was back to doing my normal activity. So I was like, wow, this is going to be tough. So, getting home, and being on the pain medicine and just living through the day-to-day life of being injured was not good. I was in a wheelchair. I had broken my wrist too. So my left wrist was broken. And my left femur. So, it was not ideal. I had shattered both my kneecaps too. So I had done a number to myself, but what got me through it, honestly, was just the great people around me and in my inner circle, my wife, my family, my friends. And, I had always battled back from injury really well. I had never let it get to me. I knew it was something that I could work towards. And if you take it seriously and you get the range of motion and you get the mobility and you get all those things figured out and fixed, that you're going to be okay in the long run. Your body's constantly fighting. Like, that's one good thing about the human body is it's fighting to always get better. So I just tried to do my best, and I kept going to the doctor, and nothing was happening. Like, nothing was getting better. The doctor's like, no, you can't walk. You can't walk. And I remember I went there one time, and I like wouldn't even take that. He said I couldn't walk. I was like, dude, there's no, like, I can. And he's like, show me the x-ray. And he's like, no, you can't. Like, your femur is still not attached. Like, cause I had broken such a big chunk out of it. He's like, you can't, like, it'll break. So, just kept going. And I went to the doctor one day and went in for a checkup. Cause I was laying in bed, and I'm like, something just doesn't feel right. Like, I told my wife, like, I don't know, like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, at that point I had been released to walk and put some weight on it and things like that. And I was like, something's going on. I don't know what it is, but it's not right. And I went to the doctor and found out that the plate had snapped off the femur, broke a bunch of screws, and it was like protruding away from my femur. And like, you could see this lump in my skin where it was pushing out into my skin. So he immediately said, you got to go see another doctor. You got to go see a reconstructive specialist. And went to see him right off the bat. Like, he got me in really quick, did an x-ray. And he basically x-rayed me from the hips down. And he came in and he's like, look, I don't know you. I don't know what's been going on, but I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. This is my job to correct what's been going on. And this is not good. You possibly could have a bone infection. Your femur is growing bow-legged, and all this metal has to come out. And he said, I don't even know if I can get all the broken screws out because of how deep they are in your femur. He said it's going to be a long road. So first we had to go get like some bone graft done. He had to go in and take some bone out to even see if I had a bone infection from my bone being out at the track and getting dirty and things like that. So that came back good because they thought that was one of the reasons why my bone was not growing, is because there was a possible infection. So that came back good, thankfully. That would have been a whole other process to tackle. So he went in, removed all the broken hardware, got all the screws out. It took like, I think it was 4-5 hour surgery, got it all out. And then he ran a rod straight up the middle, straightened my femur out. He had to re-break it and then straighten it out. And then I finally got back on the right path. So from May 14th to November 11th is when I got the new surgery. It was from May 14th to November 11th was scratch.
It's a waste.
Nothing was going on. But waste. There was no healing going on. I didn't heal. I ended up, hurting myself even further. So, and it was nothing that I did. Like, I was just kind of being told what to do. And so November 11th, got my new surgery, got released to somewhat ride in February of 2021. And from there on, I just kind of battled. And I knew Lucas. I met him in 2019. And then, like you said, in 2020, he signed me as a rider he was going to represent me. And through the whole injury, he was helping me and trying to, get me to the right doctor and get me seen by the right people. And I was going to Doc G, which is, a guy that is well known around the pits. So I was going to him, and I was doing, in my opinion, all the right things. So I was talking to Myrtle a couple times, and he's like, he flew me to the first Supercross in Houston and watched that, because it was the, Saturday, race. And I went there with him and watched that. And I remember him asking me in the stands, he's like, how do you feel about being on this side of the gate? And me being me, I answered, I said, not good. I was like, not happy about it. But I didn't know what that meant at the time. You know what I mean? He just kind of hit me with that. And so when I got back from that race, I was stewing on it. I was like, what do you mean by that? So I called him and I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what did you mean? And he was like, well, he said it may be a possibility, it may not. But I think you would be someone that suits this job. I think you could potentially grow into a great businessman and further your career other ways. And I was like, okay. So still kind of stewed on it. And while I'm stewing on this, I'm still recovering and getting back to full strength and riding and doing my thing, because I'm going to go back racing. I was going to get ready and do some outdoor nationals. And I was like, you know, I'm going to get back to 100%. And while this is all going on, I am trying to train kids and make some money, because I mean, your livelihood has been taken away from you. Have no ride, have no paying job at that time. So was trying to make some money and just trying to keep on my feet. I had just gotten back on my feet, so I was trying to make a living. And we had a meeting with myself, Lucas, Travis Clark, and Scott Lindley, just kind of the team over there at Wasserman Media Group. And it was my first meeting with Travis, and you know, he just kind of went through it all and was like, "How do you feel about stepping away from racing and becoming, you know, a full-time guy at Wasserman?" And I told him, I said, you know, it would be a decision that would be a tough one, because racing is my whole life, my heart. But if you guys give me that opportunity, I would not take it for granted. I would put my whole heart into it, just like I did racing. You know what I mean? I wore my heart on my sleeve racing, and that's what I'm going to do in this new chapter, is give it my all and try to grow and work up to be the guys that Lucas Myrtle has grown into. So, and like I said, I'm still racing and riding and doing all these things. And I went to Paula, and first race in a long time. I think it was like 380 something days. I don't know. It was a long time, and had fun. Went and battled from, I don't know, like I got like 28th off the start and battled and got 20th my first moto at Paula, and in the 450 class. My body was not happy with me. I pushed it to its limits that day. And then went and raced Colorado and fell on the first lap and battled all the way back to 20th again. And that kind of like, at that point, I was still working with Lucas and trying to learn what was going on with my deal. And they were trying to put it together with, you know, with legal and everything like that. And after Colorado, my deal kind of, they presented me with a contract, and I read through it, and I had a decision to make in front of me. It was, you know, do I keep chasing this dream of being a professional Supercross and motocross rider, or do I switch gears and become, you know, an agent at Wasserman Media Group? Like you said, one of the largest in the world, and definitely in our sport. So, yeah, I had to think long and hard about it. And, you know, I think I've been asked by a couple people, like, was that decision tough? And yes, it was, but I knew in my heart that it was the right decision to make. I had raced many years. I had beaten my body up, and I had done some pretty rad things, to be honest. Like, to look back on it now, in the time, you're just trying to keep going. But now to look back on it, like, I did some pretty rad things and had some really great races, great memories, great moments. But now it's time to switch gears and focus on this next chapter of my life and building, you know, I have a wife and building a family and continuing my career. And now I get to go to the races and enjoy the race, not be so stressed out. I'm still stressed out because, you know, like you said, you have Joe Shimoda and Max Folan and Jet and Hunter Lawrence and Styles Robertson and, you know, these guys, and you want them to do good because they're representing Wasserman. So, you know, if they get a bad start, you're just like, get going. But yeah, I don't have to be so stressed out at the races now, and get to kind of look at the business side of things and how all the deals are put together. And it's.
Last question for you, Jacob. Again, your story is a pretty wild one. There's a lot of riders out there that are weird points in their career where they don't know what the future lies. I guess, what would be your message to the people in that spot where the future is cloudy? What kind of message would you send to those people, knowing now, like, the opportunity that you've been given and the experiences you've had?
Honestly, mine was cloudy too. There was no right path. There was no wrong path. It was cloudy. But one thing I can say that will run true for the rest of your life is create good relationships, be a likable person. There's nothing wrong with going out there and chatting with anyone and everyone. I think it's a thing that in our sport needs to happen more. Like, you need to be a little bit more outgoing, go and freaking make mistakes and go and laugh and joke. And, you know, with anyone, it doesn't really matter. This sport is big, but also very tight group. You see the same faces every single weekend. So, you know, I tried to, as I got older, try to make those relationships as best as I could. And it grew into, you know, a full-time position at Wasserman by basically knowing, you know, certain people and having good relationships and talking and just kind of growing your own brand. Like, I grew my brand as Jacob Hayes, not Jacob Hayes, the racer. I just grew it as me, like people like me as a person. So if I could say anything, that would be my biggest knowledge or note that I'm giving to the younger generation is, don't be afraid to go have those conversations and go up to, you know, the Ryan Holidays of the world in the amateur ranks, or, you know, the Mitch Paytons or anyone at that matter. And just wear your heart on your sleeve and be a likable guy. Smile.
There it is. There's the advice right there. Just smile. Jacob, thanks for coming on Beyond the Track with me, man. Again, I know the story, but I'm glad we're able to tell it to the audience. And congratulations again on this start of a new chapter. And again, thanks for joining me on Beyond the Track.
Thank you.